Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava, page 117b, and we're in the middle of a story, so I'll just recap the story. Basically, there was this guy in Bavel somewhere who said he was going to tell the authorities on this guy, and then Rav said, don't tell the authorities. And he brazenly said to Rav, I'm going to tell the authorities. And then Rav Kahana saw this going on. And he just basically snapped the guy's neck and killed him. So now this was a time when murder was taken very seriously. Capital punishment it was. So it was like Rav Kahana had to flee. So he went to Israel, and there, he said you have to take a vow of silence for 7 years, and then you have to also don't ask any questions to Rav Yochanan. That's basically the story. So he's in Israel now, and then so you can't raise any difficulties to statements of Yochanan for 7 years. So there we are. So the next day, they seated Rav Khan in the first row, in front of Yochanan, but then Rav Khan was quiet, so they kept on moving him back to the more rows. And then Rav Kahana said to himself, may it be God's will that these 7 rows have been moved to replace the 7 years that Rav told me to wait. I guess he felt that being moved back all these rows, he had endured enough suffering so that he could start talking now. So then he started raising difficulties in a way that only he knew how, and basically Rav Yochanan was sitting upon 7 cushions, and so that he could be seen by all the students, since he could not see, he couldn't see Rav Kahana's question. He could not answer Rav Kahana's question. He removed 1 cushion from under himself to demonstrate he was lowering himself out of respect for Rav Kahana, and then he covered his eyes. Anyway, once his eyes were uncovered, Yochanan saw that Rav Kahana's lips were split. Okay, basically, so Rav Kahana's making his way back now, right? Rav Yochanan was sitting. Okay. This happened repeatedly until Rabbi Yochanan removed all the cushions from underneath himself until he was sitting on the ground. Rabbi Yochanan was an old man, and his eyebrows drooped over his eyes. He said to his students, uncover my eyes for me, and I will see Rav Kahana. So they uncovered his eyes for him with his silver eye brush. Once his eyes were uncovered, Rabbi Yochanan saw that Rav Kahana's lips were split, and thought Rav Kahana was smirking at him. As a result, Rav Yochanan was offended, and Rav Kahana died as punishment for the fact that he offended Rav Yochanan. The next day, Rav Yochanan said to the rabbis and students, did you see how that Babylonian Rav Kahana behaved in such a disrespectful manner? They said to him, his usual manner is appearance as such. He was not mocking you. Hearing this, Rabbi Yochanan went up to Rav Kahana's burial grave and saw, okay, now we're on 117b. Did we say all that? Anyway. Encircled by an achna, by achna. Serpent. Okay, so basically he came to Rav Kahana's grave and he sees that there's a serpent there. Rabbi Yochanan said to the serpent, Serpent, Achna, Achna, open your mouth and allow the teacher to enter and be near the disciple. But the serpent did not open its mouth to allow him entry. He then said, allow a colleague to enter to be near his colleague. But still the serpent did not open his mouth. Rabbi Yochanan said, allow the disciple to enter and be near the teacher, referring to Rav Kahana as his own teacher. The snake then opened its mouth for him to allow him entry. Rabbi Yochanan requested divine mercy from God and raised Rav Kahana from the dead. Rabbi Yochanan said to Rav Kahana, had I known that this was the master's manner of appearance, I would not have been offended. Now let the master come with me to the study hall. Rav Kahana said to him, if you are able to request divine mercy so that I will not die again, I will go with you, and if not, I will not go with you. The Gemara comments, since the time decreed for his death had passed, it had passed. Rabbi Yochanan then completely awakened him and stood him up. Thereafter, he asked him about every uncertainty that he had, and Rav Kahana resolved each one of them for him. And this is the background to that which Rabbi Yochanan says to his students on several occasions. What I said was yours is, in fact, theirs. In other words, I thought that the Torah scholars in Eretz Yisrael were the most advanced, but in fact the scholars of Babylonia are the most advanced, as evidenced by Rav Kahana's knowledge. The Gemara relates another incident pertaining to one who informed Gentiles of the whereabouts of another Jew's property. There was a certain individual who showed Rabbi Abba's silk to the Gentiles, who later seized it. Rabbi Bahu and Rabbi Chanina bar Papi and Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha sat together to determine whether Rabbi Abba was entitled to compensation from the informer, and Rabbi Eli sat next to them. The judges thought to deem the informer liable to reimburse Rabbi Abba based upon that which we learned in the Mishnah, Bechorot 28b, if a judge issued a judgment and erred, and he acquitted one who was in fact liable, or deemed liable one who should have in fact been acquitted, or if he ruled that a pure item is impure, or ruled that an impure item is pure, and by doing so he caused a litigant a monetary loss, what he did is done. In other words, the judgment stands, and the judge must pay damages from his home, that is, from his personal funds. This indicates that one is liable to pay for a financial loss that he causes, even if his involvement was only through speech. Rabbi Eli said to him, this is what Rav says, and that Mishnah is discussing a case where the judge not only issued a ruling, but actively took the money from the one whom he found liable and gave it to the other party by his own hand. Consequently, it cannot serve as a precedent to render the informer liable in this case. The sages serving as judges said to Rabbi Abba, go to Rabbi Shimon ben Eliakim and Rabbi Elazar ben Pedat, who rule that there is liability for damage caused by indirect action. Garmi. Dina de Garmi. Rabbi Abba went to them, and they deemed the informer liable to reimburse Rabbi Abba, as is taught in the Mishnah. If the thugs seize the field due to the robber, he is liable to provide the owner with a different field. And it was established that the Mishnah is referring to a case where an individual showed the field to thugs who later seized it. The halacha stated in the Mishnah would apply to this case as well. Okay. Okay, the Gemara relates another incident. There was a certain man with whom a silver cup was deposited. Thieves came upon him in his home, and he took the cup and gave it to them. The case came before Rabbah, and Rabbah exempted him from payment. Abiah said to him, "This individual is saving himself with another's property, and he should therefore be liable." Rather, Rav Ashi said in explanation of Rabbah's ruling, we look at his financial status. If the Bailey is a wealthy man, the thieves came with the intent to steal his property. And if he is therefore liable to pay, as he saved himself from financial loss by handling over another's property, and if he is not wealthy, the thieves presumably came with the intent to steal the silver cup, and he is therefore exempt from liability. The Gemara relates another incident. There was a certain man with whom the purse containing funds collected for the redemption of captives was deposited. Thieves came upon him, and he took the purse and gave it to them. The case came before Rabbah, and Rabbah exempted him from payment. Abiah said to him, "But this individual is saving himself with another's property, and he should therefore be liable to pay." Rabbah said to him, "You have no greater redemption of captives than this, since the man used the money to avoid being harmed by the thieves." Rabbah considered the money to have been used for its intended purpose. The Gemara relates another incident. There was a certain man who hastened and brought his donkey on board a ferry. Before the other people boarded the ferry, the donkey began to move around, and as was about to cause the boat to sink, a certain other man came and pushed the donkey off of that first man into the river, and it drowned. The case came before Rabbah, and Rabbah exempted him from payment. Abiah said to him, "But this individual is saving himself with another's property, and he should therefore be liable to pay." Rabbah said to him, "This owner of the donkey was considered a pursuer from the outset, as he endangered the other travelers. It is permitted to stop a pursuer by any means necessary, including by destroying his property." The Gemara notes that Rabbah conforms to his standard line of reasoning, as Rabbah says, in the case of a pursuer who was chasing after another in order to kill him, and the pursuer broke vessels during the chase, whether they belonged to the pursued party or to anyone else, he is exempt from reimbursing the owner's vessels. This is because he is liable to receive the death penalty for attempted murder, and is consequently exempt from any monetary liability he incurs simultaneously. Okay, we'll stop here. Has to be part 1.